A single father rushed through the sliding doors of the emergency room, his arms wrapped tightly around his little boy. The child struggled to breathe, a small oxygen mask pressed against his face as his chest rose and fell far too fast. The father's voice cracked as he called for help, begging someone, anyone, to save his son. Nurses rushed forward, guiding him onto a hospital bed, and within seconds the room filled with monitors beeping and medical staff moving urgently. But then, just as the father turned to look at the doctor stepping into the room, he froze. His heart dropped. His hands shook. Because the doctor standing before him was the last person he ever expected to see. Someone from a past he had tried to forget. Someone whose absence had shaped his entire life as a parent. Before we begin today's emotional story, make sure to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps us continue creating touching stories here on Kindness Action, where we bring real human kindness to life, one story at a time. The single father's name was Daniel, a hard-working man in his mid-30s who had been raising his son, Leo, alone since the boy was barely a year old. He worked full-time at a local auto repair shop, did school pickups, cooked dinners, and tucked his son in every night with stories about superheroes, because in Leo's eyes, his dad was one. But on this terrifying afternoon, Daniel felt anything but strong. Leo had collapsed at the park, struggling to breathe, and Daniel had driven faster than he ever had in his life. Now, standing in the ER, Daniel stared at the doctor, a woman wearing a white coat with tired eyes and a trembling expression. She looked like she had seen a ghost. And maybe she had. Because she was Emily, the woman Daniel had once been engaged to. The woman who walked out years ago when life got hard, leaving Daniel alone with a newborn baby and a future he had never planned for a moment. Neither of them spoke. Emily opened her mouth, but Daniel cut her off immediately. No, he snapped, pointing a shaking finger at her. Not you. Anyone but you, Leo whimpered beside him, his small fingers clutching his father's sleeve. Daniel sat beside the bed, his anger mixing with fear. Every instinct inside him wanted to protect his son, from pain, from sickness, and from the woman who had walked away. Emily swallowed hard, trying to gather her voice. Daniel. I know you don't want me here. But I promise you, I'm here to help. Let me take care of him. Daniel wanted to refuse. He wanted to scream. But one look at Leo's pale face broke him. His son needed immediate attention, and personal history couldn't stand in the way. He gave a stiff nod. Emily stepped closer, gently checking Leo's breathing and listening to his heartbeat. Her hands were steady, but her eyes were filled with emotion. 2 other doctors watched from behind her, waiting if they were needed, but she was determined to be the one to help. Leo looked up at her with frightened eyes. Am I gonna be okay? He asked in a shaky voice. Emily knelt beside him, her tone soft and reassuring. You're going to be just fine, buddy, I'm right here. Daniel watched her, every muscle in his body tense. He didn't trust her, how could he? But as she carefully explained Leo's symptoms, describing what she suspected was a severe asthma attack triggered by sudden exertion, Daniel realized something he didn't expect. Emily was calm. She was competent. And she genuinely cared. The next few minutes felt like hours. Nurses brought medication, Emily adjusted the oxygen support, and slowly, finally, Leo's breathing eased. His little shoulders relaxed. The panic that had filled the room began to fade. Daniel let out a shaky breath. Relief washed over him so powerfully that he had to sit down. Emily looked at him, her eyes red. He's stable now. He's going to be okay. Daniel didn't respond. He didn't know what to say. Gratitude tangled with resentment, and his heart felt heavy with memories he had spent years avoiding. Emily stepped outside to update the medical chart, but Daniel followed her into the hallway. Why are you here? He asked, his voice low but trembling. Why now? Emily took a moment before answering. Because I grew up, she said softly. Because I learned what it means to take responsibility. And because I never stopped caring, not about you, not about Leo. I left because I was scared. And that's not an excuse. I know that. Daniel looked away, emotions stirring inside him. He didn't want to forgive her. He didn't know if he could. But he also couldn't deny the truth he'd just witnessed. Emily had saved their son. Emily continued, her voice breaking. I can't change the past, Daniel. But I can choose who I am now. And today, I chose to help. I chose kindness. Even if you never speak to me again. Daniel studied her face. She was no longer the woman who walked away. She was someone who had returned, not to reclaim a relationship, but to do the right thing simply because it was right. For the first time in years, Daniel's anger softened just a little. "Thank you," he whispered. Emily nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. "You don't have to forgive me. Just, let me be someone who cares." Leo called for his dad from inside the room, and Daniel stepped back toward the doorway. But before he went inside, he looked at Emily once more. "You helped my son," he said. "That matters." And it did. Because sometimes kindness doesn't erase the past, but it can change the future. That night, as Daniel sat beside Leo's hospital bed, holding his tiny hand while the boy slept peacefully, he felt something unexpected: peace. Emily's return didn't fix everything, but her compassion had saved the most important person in his world. Kindness has a way of showing up when we least expect it, sometimes from strangers, sometimes from the people we once pushed away, and sometimes from the people we thought would never come back. And in that small hospital room, a single father learned that forgiveness doesn't always start with an apology. Sometimes, it starts with an act of kindness. Thank you for watching this story on kindness action. If this touched your heart, share it with someone who could use a reminder that compassion can heal wounds we don't even realize we still carry. And until next time, keep choosing kindness, because it truly changes lives.